Well, greetings from Bill O'Leary. Today, I'm going to talk about what a 5-year look back in elder law is. And so in this video, you're going to learn several things. One, what is a Medicaid 5-year look back? What is that all about? Number two, how does a gift that's made during that look back period cause a transfer penalty with Medicaid? And three, are there ways to avoid or undo a Medicaid transfer penalty? Let me first quickly introduce myself. My name is Bill O'Leary. I'm an estate, elder law, and probate attorney here in Jacksonville, Florida. My law firm is Legacy Planning Law Group. So, Medicaid. Medicaid's a program that helps seniors with limited assets afford long-term care. So, in addition to meeting certain medical criteria, you have to meet a very strict financial eligibility requirements. Not only when applying for Medicaid, but you see also after you qualify, there's a continuous qualification process. So what happens if you need long-term care, but you have too many assets? Well, one option is to spend down the excess assets on things like maybe some medical expenses, home improvements, maybe a prepaid funeral plan, and some other things that we can do. Another better option, frankly, is to work with an elder law attorney to try to legally protect assets. But what about just giving assets away, let's say to your kids? Well, it's not that easy. You can't do that without there being repercussions with Medicaid. So to prevent seniors from simply giving away all their assets to family and friends and then going on Medicaid to pay for long-term care, Medicaid has a system in place for reviewing your financial history to see if you've made any gifts. And so, look, the government doesn't want you to simply transfer all of your assets on a Monday and then go on Medicaid on Tuesday. So it has imposed what's called a penalty on people who transfer assets without getting fair value in return. So in order to identify who has transferred assets, Medicaid requires you to disclose all financial transactions that you were involved in during the 5 years before the Medicaid application is submitted. This is known as the 5-year look back period. And this look back period actually causes a lot of confusion because a lot of people don't really understand it. Any gift transfer that's made can be scrutinized by Medicaid, no matter how small. So look, there's no exception for charitable giving to your church or giving to your grandchildren. And by the way, the burden of proof is on the Medicaid applicant to prove that the transfer was not made for the purpose of qualifying for Medicaid. And I have to tell you, this is often a tough hill to climb. If a gift was made during the 5-year period, Medicaid will impose a penalty, which is a period of time where the person that transferred the assets will be ineligible for Medicaid. And that penalty period is determined by dividing the amount of assets that were transferred by what Medicaid determines to be the average private pay cost of nursing homes. So currently in 2022, Florida Medicaid uses a number that is just a hair below $10,000. So let me give you an easy math example. Let's say that you give away $100,000, okay, to your kids. Then for that average private pay rate that the state uses, that's a little bit under $10,000 currently. Well, let's round that up to $10,000. So math question, what's $100,000 divided by $10,000? The answer is 10. So that would result in a 10-month penalty during which you will not be eligible and you have to pay your own way. This penalty period is basically Medicaid's version of putting a child in timeout, or where a hockey player goes, let's say after getting into a fight, they go into the penalty box. After the penalty period expires, then you can qualify for Medicaid. Now, it's important to note that the clock for the penalty period starts when you submit the application for Medicaid, not in the past when you made the gift. And also keep in mind that there is no limit on how long this penalty period can be. So what happens if you find yourself in the penalty box, but you've run out of money to pay your own way? Well, I guess you can turn to family members. They can help pay the facility costs as you ride out that penalty. But what if there are no family members? That might leave a very sad situation where the facility initiates proceedings to basically evict you. Now, not all gift transfers are going to trigger this Medicaid penalty. One big exception is if assets are gifted from one spouse to another. That does not trigger a Medicaid penalty because the total assets of both spouses are counted by Medicaid when one spouse applies. And frankly, so there'd be no reason to impose a Medicaid penalty on these sorts of transfers between spouses. In fact, gifting between spouses is a technique I commonly use when doing Medicaid planning for a couple. Other exceptions to the penalty rule include, let's say, transferring the home to a child who has been a caregiver for at least 2 years before the application is sent in. And if the care provided by that child has enabled that senior to move into a nursing home. Another transfer that's exempt is where, let's say, an asset is transferred to a child who is blind or disabled. Now, here's a question. Is it possible to undo a gift that was made during the look back period? Well, the answer, good news, is yes. Here in Florida, if the asset is returned to the Medicaid recipient, the penalty will be lifted. Now, of course, this may not be possible in real life because maybe the asset or the money that was gifted, it's gone. It's been spent. Also understand that even if it has not been spent and it's returned, that is going to sort of result in more assets being owned by the Medicaid applicant than they're allowed to have, and will kick them off the Medicaid rolls for a time. But at least the senior will have another opportunity to properly spend down their assets and fund their own care before then requalifying for Medicaid benefits. So if you've transferred any assets within the past 5 years and you're wanting to qualify for Medicaid, give us a call to find out if there are any steps that can be done to prevent you from having to incur that penalty. So if you'd like to know more about sort of how the 5-year look back works with elder law and Medicaid and maybe how we can help, we would love to talk to you. So we make it so very easy to take that initial first step. Invite you personally to schedule a free 15-minute discovery phone call with us. It's a chance to basically start the process, start a conversation. So scheduling, we make it very easy. Go to the bottom of this video and click on our scheduling link, or go to legacyplanninglawgroup.com and just hit the book your free call now button. Doing both of those will take you straight to our scheduling calendar. Just pick a day and time that works great for you. So Bill O'Leary signing off for now. Go make it a great day and a better world.